In this reimagined version of Game of Thrones, Catelyn Stark's heart opens in a way that reshapes the fate of an entire generation. From the moment Theon Greyjoy arrives at Winterfell as a ward, she chooses not to see him as the son of a defeated rebel, but as a boy torn from his home and in need of guidance. Instead of cold distance, she offers warmth, subtle at first, then unwavering. This small emotional shift creates a foundation of belonging that Theon never truly had in the original story. Growing up alongside Robb, Jon, and the other Stark children, Theon feels less like an outsider and more like a brother. Catelyn ensures he is included in family traditions, from shared meals in the Great Hall to quiet moments by the hearth. Her influence softens his insecurities, gradually replacing arrogance with a deeper sense of loyalty. Where once he sought validation through pride, he now finds it in acceptance. Catelyn's maternal instincts extend into discipline as well. She corrects Theon when needed, but always with fairness rather than suspicion. This balance of care and accountability shapes his character, encouraging maturity. He learns responsibility not as a burden forced upon him, but as something expected of someone who is trusted and valued. Ned Stark, seeing Catelyn's efforts, reinforces this dynamic. Together, they create a unified parental presence that anchors Theon's identity. He begins to internalize Stark values, honor, duty, and loyalty, not as foreign ideals, but as guiding principles. Winterfell becomes more than a place of captivity. It becomes home in every sense. The bond between Robb and Theon deepens under this new family structure. Their friendship is no longer tinged with imbalance or hidden resentment. Instead, it resembles true brotherhood, forged through shared experiences and mutual respect. This emotional stability becomes crucial when the tides of war begin to rise. Jon Snow, often an outsider himself, finds unexpected kinship with Theon. Both boys understand what it means to exist on the edge of belonging. Under Catelyn's softened perspective, even Jon experiences less hostility, allowing a quieter, more united household to emerge. The Stark children grow stronger together, not divided by suspicion. As Theon matures, he begins to wrestle with his identity as a Greyjoy raised among Starks. However, Catelyn's love provides clarity rather than confusion. She does not erase his heritage, but encourages him to honor both sides of himself. This duality becomes a source of strength instead of conflict. The presence of genuine affection also changes how others at Winterfell perceive Theon. Servants, guards, and bannermen treat him with respect, reflecting the tone set by their lady. This communal acceptance reinforces his place within the castle, removing the constant need to prove himself. When news from the Iron Islands reaches him, Theon no longer feels the same desperate pull to seek approval from his birth family. He still remembers where he came from, but it does not overshadow who he has become. The emotional void that once defined him has been filled. By the time war looms over Westeros, Theon Greyjoy stands not as a conflicted hostage, but as a young man shaped by love, loyalty, and a true sense of belonging. Catelyn Stark's choice has quietly rewritten the foundation of his destiny. As war ignites across the Seven Kingdoms, the presence of Theon Greyjoy at Robb Stark's side carries a weight far greater than anyone could have predicted. No longer a young man divided between two identities, Theon stands firmly rooted in the values instilled by Catelyn Stark. His loyalty is not fragile or performative, it is absolute, forged through years of genuine belonging. This transforms him into one of Robb's most dependable allies at a time when trust is scarce and betrayal lurks behind every banner. When Robb makes the strategic decision to send Theon to the Iron Islands, the mission unfolds with an entirely different emotional foundation. Theon does not depart seeking validation from Balon Greyjoy, nor does he carry resentment toward the Starks. Instead, he leaves as a representative of both worlds, determined to prevent conflict rather than ignite it. His confidence is quiet but unshakable, rooted in the knowledge that he has a family to return to regardless of the outcome. Upon arriving at Pike, Theon is met with the harsh expectations of his father, who still embodies the ruthless traditions of the Ironborn. However, this version of Theon does not bend so easily. He listens, observes, and challenges in subtle ways, refusing to abandon the principles he has learned in the North. Catelyn's influence echoes in his restraint, in the way he weighs every word before speaking, and in his refusal to equate cruelty with strength. The tension between father and son becomes a defining moment for Theon's character. Rather than seeking to prove himself through conquest, he attempts to redefine what strength means within his own family. He argues for alliance, for strategy over pride, for a future that does not depend on burning the lands of those who raised him. Though Balon resists, the conversation itself marks a profound shift. Theon is no longer a pawn, but a man with conviction. This refusal to betray Winterfell becomes one of the most critical divergences in the war. The North remains intact, its leadership unshaken by internal collapse. Bran and Rickon Stark are never forced into the shadows, and the psychological blow that once fractured northern morale never occurs. Winterfell stands as a symbol of resilience, its walls untouched by the chaos that devastates so many other strongholds. Robb Stark benefits immensely from this stability. Without the emotional devastation of betrayal, his judgment remains sharper, his decisions less clouded by grief and anger. The trust between him and Theon deepens into something unbreakable, a bond that inspires those around them. Soldiers fight not just for their king, but for the unity they represent, a rare and powerful force in a war defined by fractured loyalties. Catelyn Stark watches these developments with a complex mixture of relief and quiet pride. Her decision to embrace Theon as a son has borne fruit in ways she could never have fully imagined. In a world where suspicion often governs relationships, her choice to lead with compassion has created a ripple effect that strengthens her entire house. Theon's loyalty becomes a living testament to the power of that choice. As the war expands, Theon's unique perspective proves invaluable. He understands the tactics, culture, and mindset of the Ironborn in a way no Northern Lord could. This allows Robb's forces to anticipate coastal raids, reinforce vulnerable positions, and avoid costly mistakes. Theon becomes not just a warrior, but a strategist, someone whose insight can shift the balance of entire campaigns. His presence also alters the perception of alliances beyond the North. Other houses begin to see the Stark cause as something more than a regional rebellion. The integration of a Greyjoy into their inner circle sends a subtle but powerful message. This is a leadership capable of unity, not division. In a fractured realm, that message carries weight. Perhaps most significantly, Theon avoids the tragic path that once defined him. There is no capture, no torture, no descent into a broken identity. Instead, he grows stronger with each challenge, shaped by hardship but never consumed by it. His sense of self remains intact, anchored by the love and guidance he received at Winterfell. As battles rage and alliances shift, Theon continues to stand at Robb's side, a constant in an ever-changing war. Their brotherhood becomes legendary among their men, a reminder that loyalty, when nurtured, can endure even the harshest trials. Together, they represent a different kind of power, one built not on fear, but on trust. In the broader scope of the war, the absence of Theon's betrayal creates a cascade of changes. Northern forces maintain stronger positions, key figures remain alive, and the narrative of the conflict itself begins to shift. Victories are not just won through strategy, but through cohesion, something rarely seen in the brutal politics of Westeros. Catelyn's influence continues to echo through these outcomes, even when she is far from the battlefield. Her belief in Theon reshaped his destiny, and through him, the fate of countless others. It is a quiet kind of power, one that does not rely on armies or titles, but on the courage to care in a world that often punishes such vulnerability. By the later stages of the war, Theon Greyjoy is no longer defined by where he came from, but by the choices he has made. He stands as both a Stark in loyalty and a Greyjoy in blood, embodying a bridge between two worlds that were once irreconcilable. His journey becomes one of the most compelling transformations in this reimagined history. In the end, the War of Five Kings is not just rewritten through battles and alliances, but through the evolution of a single man who was given the chance to belong. And at the heart of that transformation stands Catelyn Stark, whose love turned what was once a liability into one of the North's greatest strengths.